Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion Plays the Binding of Isaac AFTERBIRTH Plus. You know, you get Ipecac, you get Brimstone, you get the items that remind you of the good times, you get the items that remind you of the best times. Everything is hunky-dory about this seed so far. All stats are above average. That's fine. That's less fine, but not that bad, to be honest. Except for our low speed now, everything is completely okay. We have 8 rate of fire, 4 damage, and a great spacebar item. Our first real item was the Pact, which is just like outrageously good. Probably responsible for our DPS being in a good position, because I feel like without a tears and damage upgrade, we probably would have been, you know, looking at maybe like 11 or 12 rate of fire and maybe in the low 3s damage, which is not that bad, especially when you consider you got Blue Candle as well. But anyway, I mean, what do you want me to do to set the stage here? We started with an incredible run. There's nothing I could do at this point to be like, dude, to be like, you know, we make this a little bit more dramatic. There's, oh, you son of a gun. There's no drama to be had just yet. The drama, you know, it could happen later. Maybe. Or maybe not. Ideally not. That would be fine too. Anyway, as we talked about in the last episode, it's going to be an exciting but also, you know, a little bit of a busy week. Which is fine. Josh's wedding is coming up on Saturday. I'm happy for him. And you know what? I think I've mentioned this on the NLSS. But I'm so thankful to Josh. First off, for inviting us to his wedding in the first place. But secondarily, for having enough of a, you know, connection to, like, he's got, you know, family, including his older brother, and then, you know, local friends. And as a result, I'm not a part of the wedding party. And I never understood, like, let's wait till we go to the item room and see if we want to pop this. I never understood, there's like a trope in media of like, you didn't make me your best man? No, sorry, dude. I guess it is, like, annoying, or it could be a shock to the system. Like, if you think you're somebody's best friend, and then as their best man, they're like, hey, it's gonna be, you know, Jeremy. And you're like, Jeremy? The guy who spoke in class today? That seems like a little much. Hold on, let me blank ruin this. That is the Gaz. And the Gaz won. But I don't know. I mean, first off, I was under no suspicion that I was Josh's best friend to begin with. Secondarily, and that's not a sad thing, you know. We don't live in close proximity. He's got longer, you know, lifelong friends, for one. And we got a good lifelong relation, well, like, since adolescence relationship ourselves, but you know, I'm not gonna be like, well, you picked him instead of me. Secondarily, being part of the groomsmen seems like a lot of work, you know? You gotta take the wedding photos, you gotta be part of the bachelor party, which is, you know, that usually happens, you know, like a week before the wedding. Hard to do if you're from out of town to begin with. You gotta make a speech, and the speech has to strike the right tone between embarrassing for your friend without throwing him under the bus. I mean, all of these things are, of course, doable, but I actually am thankful that, I mean, Josh, I don't think he chose not to put me on the wedding party to spare me. But simultaneously, pardon me, I'm like, dude, thank you. You've done me a great service by allowing me to just fly in on my private jet, land, eat the free food at the wedding dinner, do orange justice for the bride and groom's first dance, and then get the heck out of town. It's nice. I mean, like, I don't want to say, okay, addicted and perks, okay. Well, apparently addicted takes precedent. I don't want to say, like, weddings are a scam, okay? Because that's not, first off, it's too easy, because there's always going to be a contingent of people who are like, hell yeah, brother. But, like, is, like, one of the most special days, supposed to be one of the most special days of your life. But it's also, like, really expensive. Like, it's expensive for us. Sure, we gotta fly to Pittsburgh, you know? And then, you know, we're staying in a hotel. It's not like we live in the area. But also, like, we're getting a good free meal out of it. And the people, it's like they're throwing a party for them, but it's also like for us. I'm pretty sure being, I mean, again, Kate and I, our legal wedding ceremony was very small and easy, and it was awesome. Maybe we'll do something more extravagant at a later date. But it seems like being like the bride and groom at a traditional wedding is like you're the host of the party in many ways. And being the host of the party, it can be cool. You get to choose the music and the cake and the flowers and the so on. But simultaneously, you know, if somebody is not acting in, you know, appropriately for the party, you're responsible for kicking them out. And, oh, Uncle Jerry can't sit next to Susan because they had a falling out over a bad game of Jenga at the 1993 Thanksgiving dinner. And, like, oh, but, you know, Brad's coming. Brad isn't allergic to shellfish, but thinks he's allergic to shellfish, so nothing can be cooked in prawn oil. You get the idea. Like, it's a lot of work, dude. And then, you know, the bridesmaids and the groomsmen, they gotta, their job is to, like, support you and help out, which is cool. It's something you should do for, you know, your friends. But simultaneously, I think you're really, like, in the clear if you're just at the wedding. Like, literally our only obligation at the wedding is to show up and, like, not say anything during the part where they go, if anybody has any reason why these two should not be married, you speak now or forever hold your peace. All we gotta do is keep our mouth shut during that, and we get a nice free meal. We don't have to do anything. All we gotta do is go, you guys look great, you did great, and then, you know, they play the song and we're good to go. I'd say if I go to somebody else's wedding, I'm never gonna complain about anything, essentially. You can serve us sawdust. My dude's been planning the wedding for, I don't know, 8 months, maybe longer. It's a lot of work. Again, I'm not saying it's a scam. I'm just saying it's a lot of work. It's really just nice to be a guest instead of having to, you know, worry about the organizational element of it. Because it's like a party for you that also you're in charge of. You're like throwing a party for yourself. That's why, like, I don't know. I've never seen the movie or the show Bridezillas. And I get that, like, being a Bridezilla, I can understand, you know, how that would be frustrating, especially if you're a member of the wedding party. But I'm also like, dude, I know how I feel when, like, I pick a game for the NLSS and then people can't get into the lobby, and I'm like, literally all you have to do is the same thing you do for every game. You hit Shift Tab and the Shift Tab isn't working. Try hit it again. Oh, it's working now. Weird. Like, I get it, okay? I can relate to the Bridezillas out there, I suppose. It's an exhausting day, you know? You're throwing your own birthday party, but, like, is more than a birthday party, I guess. I don't know. I'm talking about stuff I have no experience with because I've never planned a wedding. So, what do I know, dude? Might as well just get rid of Addicted. I'm gonna try to just blow you up. Maybe you'll give me money. You didn't. I'll just blow you up. I mean, this run is in a lovely place. Such a lovely place. That's why I guess, like, I've done a bad job of my own PR. Because I really think people are of the impression that I would be at the wedding like, oh, there's no untapped kombucha? This is an outrage. It's not really like that. You know, you're hearing me talk, you should recognize. For lunch, 5 days a week, I put a little bit of chicken inside of a tortilla, roll it up and eat it. You know, I'm not a picky person. If I have the chance to be picky, I will take that chance at my own personal expense sometimes. But, you know, if somebody's like, you know, if something goes wrong and they're like, hey, we don't have pulled pork for the wedding meal anymore. It's all we have is ling cod. I'm not gonna be like, oh man, I really like pulled pork. I'll just, you know, Go to Primanti Bros. Yeah, we're taking a bunch of yins to Primanti Bros after the wedding. Let's go, yins. I understand, Pittsburgh. That's what... Here's my impression of someone from Pittsburgh. How yins doing? They freaking nailed it again. Hey, yins want a yangling? I don't know why they have a southern drawl now, but... Here's my impression of somebody from Vancouver, by the way. You gotta tilt the lens on yourself sometimes. I can't afford a house. That's the crushing unaffordability. Anyway. Well, now I'm sad. You know, why not? It gets you into trouble, but we got a high range moves with Blue Candle regardless. So I'm not overly concerned about that. Anyway, I'm just saying, if you're out there, you know, maybe you're in the midst of planning a wedding right now, I feel for you. You know, and I also feel for you that some guests are always, you know, just some people, they're just never happy, you know? No matter what, you could give them a free, a delicious lingcod meal, and they'll be like, well, you know, at Susie's wedding, they had a halibut. Yeah, well, you know what? Susie's got a lot of experience having weddings. You know, she's on her 6th husband. That's not... Okay, I made this person up, and now I feel bad for them. It's a bizarre situation. Just, you know, I have sympathy, I guess. Not to mention, on top of the mental anguish... I don't know, what is... This is a good thing to Google, actually. What does the average wedding cost in America? I'm going to say that it costs $12,500. Let's see if I'm out of touch. I'm willing to Howard Schultz myself. What does the average American wedding cost? $35,329. What? Though estimates vary, the cost of an average wedding is well into the 5 figures. The national average is pegged at $25,764, while the Knot reports an average of $33,391. They also say the typical wedding includes 100 to 150 guests. Wow, dude. I mean, the idea is that it's a once-in-a-lifetime celebration, and a lot of people dream about it for a long time. And to be fair, a lot of people spend a lot more, and a lot of people spend a lot less. And to be fair, you're making memories, you know? But with an air of superiority, I will say that I'm pretty sure at the end of the day, Kate and my wedding, which we both agreed upon, by the way. It wasn't like I coerced her into ruining her dream wedding day. Well, we could buy a Ford Focus with that kind of money. It wasn't like that, you know? And if it was, I wouldn't tell you. But it wasn't like that. Probably was... It's not fair to say it was under, you know, $500. But it was definitely under $1,000. And what do the costs amount to? Well, you still have to, like, do the bureaucratic stuff. You know, you gotta get the marriage license, and there's a fee associated with that. And we had to pay, like a... I don't know what the word is. A steward? You know, we had to... There had to be a witness at the wedding who was, like, legally employed by the province of British Columbia to be like, yep, they did it. They're married all right. I don't know. It's a weird medieval thing. I guess there was maybe a rash of people going to the, you know, county clerk's office and being like, we got married, only we actually didn't. By the way, I apologize for the incredibly loud whirring noise you hear in the background right now. It's the vacuum. We're in the middle of cats shedding season. You'll be hearing it a bunch. Even though we got them groomed, they still shed. Now... So it's like, I don't know, we had to pay them a couple of $100. It's like Omerta, you know? It's the mafia. Everybody gets a cut. And then, you know, a couple $100 in clothing and lunch. And I just said, hey, everybody here, you can get 2 things off the dollar menu. Anything else, you know, you got to pay out of your own pocket. Now, I mean, you can never do it. Like, I got annoyed a little bit when I was watching that, when I was doing the Grand Tour Bounty, and they would be like, hey, this car in China is $1.2 million. Did you know that for under $1.2 million, you could buy, like, this car, or this car? And I was like, yeah, it's obvious, like, you know, even, you know, I'm not going to shame anybody. Hey, we spent 50 grand on our wedding, you know, and I'll be like, well, we spent, you know, $750 on our wedding, because some people will be like, hey, we just, like, walked to the courthouse. It was $150, you know? It's always... Sorry, I burped there. It wasn't a dramatic pause. But it's not necessarily intuitive to say, but it's always easy to come up with a solution to spend less money. You just, like, do less. You know, and I think people forget about that sometimes. In the one-upsmanship, where I'm like, you know, well, my average lunch is like $1.75, and they're like, well, $1.75, huh, fat cat? I wait until lentils go on sale at the local Costco. I buy 100 kilos of lentils, I put them in my homemade silo, and that lowers the per unit cost for my lentil chili to 73 cents a bowl. Yeah, well, how much was the silo? Anyway. Where am I going with this? Anyway, I'm just saying, to me, I wouldn't say it's necessarily surprising how expensive the average wedding is. Because, like, you know, I know people that you spend thousands of dollars on flowers and, you know, the venue, photographers. That's why, like, if you have 150 people, and again, I got called very stingy for this. And if we have like a quote-unquote real wedding, we'll probably do an open bar, but I'm just leveling with you. We can handle it, right? I would feel weird inviting people and then being like, you know, we'll pay for your meal, but you gotta buy your own alcoholic drinks. But, like, people get trashed at weddings. So if you're already throwing down, like, you know, 30, well, I mean, I guess I don't know how much is the open bar, but if you're already throwing down, like, a few, maybe tens of thousands of dollars for the wedding, I wouldn't begrudge you at all for having a cash bar. I wouldn't leave and be like, wow, they're really stingy. I would leave and be like, that was a sensible choice. A, people are going to get less hammered, and B, you're going to save a lot of money. Like, if you factor in the fact that, like, you know, maybe like 20% or 25% of the people at a wedding won't drink at all, but then there's also a lot of Uncle Jims who maybe like to drink a little bit too much. You know, well, you know what? We could just Google it. How much does an open bar per person add to the cost of your wedding? I wouldn't be surprised if it's $50 a person. Let me check. How much does an open bar cost wedding? The average number of guests is 170, making it $16.50 per guest. All right, well, no, wait. From a sample of wedding sites across the U.S., open bar costs typically range from $15 to $90 per person. Dude. So, I mean, at least I wasn't an order of magnitude off. I'm kind of, like, right in the middle there. What I was thinking is, like, well, I mean, I don't know if, like, here's the thing. Like, depending on your venue, you know, what does a can of Budweiser cost? It's like 70 cents or something like that at the gas station. But, you know, do you get it for the 70 cents, or is the venue going to sell it to you at a unit cost of, like, $5? I wasn't thinking everybody would have 10 drinks, but, you know, some people are going to go up and be like, hey, give me a double Johnny Walker Blue Neat, you know? So I think, you know, probably $35 to $50 per person is a reasonable guess. And, like, I've been called stingy for saying it. Again, well, if it's the culture, I would, you know, if we have a real wedding and we invite 100 people, we'll have an open bar. But simultaneously, I am like, I don't know if Josh was like, we got a cash bar, I'd be like, that's cool, dude. We'll have a drink or two. At an open bar, I mean, you're just I feel like inviting a certain subset of the population to bankrupt you. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm incorrect on this subject, but Well, I mean, you can run the numbers yourself. Let's say it costs, you know, $25 per person, and the average wedding has... Let's keep per throw. $25 per person, the average wedding has 125 people. So that's 25 times 5 times 25. Is that correct? What am I... You know what? Let's just get a calculator. So it's 125 people times $25 each. $3 grand, dude. That's like... It's like a month's salary at the median income. So that 100 people can get drunk at your wedding. And it's probably not even so 100 people can get drunk. It's like, you know... So 10 people can get trashed. And, you know... 80 people can have 1 or 2 drinks, and the rest of the people there are kids. That's a big ask. If anything, people are like, you're being cheap. I'm not being cheap. I'm just like, you know, why is that 10% of the wedding cost? Apparently. But maybe I'm grossly incorrect on this subject. I don't know. I would feel bad, I guess. Well, I mean, what's weird is that I don't feel bad, because, like, that's literally, Josh's wedding is going to have an open bar. But, like, simultaneously, like, in principle, I feel bad. I'm like, dude, that's way too much money for something. You guys should just, you know, extend your honeymoon by, like, another week. And another nice week, I might add. It's like $400 a day. Anyway. I'm just saying. I'm not telling any... It's tradition, I know. You're being a stick in the... I'm not being a stick in the mud, is my thing. I'm just like, dude. This is expensive. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day, I guess. Is like, man, that's pricey. I don't think we can afford anything else. Let's give it a shot here. I don't know, dude. The run is very good. It has slowed down a little bit. Trying to make sure we land the shots appropriately here. Again, I don't want to say it's a scam, because I mean, what do flowers cost the wedding? Probably. You know what? I like this game. Man who has not had to pay for a traditional wedding, guess how much things at a traditional wedding cost. I was pretty close to the cost of the open bar. I had guessed that a wedding cost about 1/3 of what it actually costs. What do I think flowers cost the wedding? Oh, dude. I'm going to say $2,500 on average, Bob. Closest to the correct value without going over. Flower cost typical wedding. $2,141. Dude, I was pretty close. That seems about right. Flowers in general are just expensive. If you've never purchased... flowers. You always think, you know, it's just dang old garbage grows in the ground, man. But then they cut it all nice and they put it in a thing and then they go water it and you go, okay, that'll be $75 extra for the consultation. And anyway, what else is there? Like, okay, typical DJ cost for, I'm gonna say is $500. Typical. I just typed in tedding. Typical DJ cost wedding. $200 to $300 for a part-time hobbyist DJ. $400 to $600 for a part-time DJ with more experience. $1,000 to $2,500 most experienced, professionally trained, full-time DJ. Look, I'm not going to talk about anybody else's careers, those in glass houses, etc., etc., etc. Can you be a full-time DJ and not, like, tour the world? Can you get 5 nights of work a week? I guess depending on where you live, maybe. I mean, nobody's being like, I got a 9 a.m. office meeting. Hey, give me the best DJ in Pittsburgh. I'm just saying. I don't know. Maybe there's a wedding band, for all I know. I still think the open bar is the one that is like, I don't know. If anything, the people calling me cheap, I think y'all are jerks. If you go to somebody's wedding, they have a cash bar, and you're like, well, you're ripping me off. Bro, you're getting a free meal. All you had to do was put a suit on and watch, you know. You should be grateful in the first place for getting invited to witness, you know, one of your friends or family the happiest day of their life. And all of a sudden, you're like, well, it would cost me $40 to get hammered now. Like, okay, just do what everybody else does and wear a camelback full of Shiraz into the ceremony. I don't know. People, they're talking about you, dude. They're going, isn't it sad that he needs, you know, an open bar to have fun at his sister's wedding? Like, people are worried about you, all right? Turns out, guess what? It's not a wedding. It's an episode of TLC's Intervention. Surprise. We'll try. I am hoping, you know, like our HP is a little on the low side here. I mean, I'm over defending myself now for sure. But I'm saying you should be grateful. I'm very much in the you camp. At my wedding, I would have an open bar. But if you invite me to your wedding, I don't expect one to be there. It's all right. I'll pay for my own LaCroix. I don't know why it's so threatening, you know, to be faced with this sort of enlightened opinion. I'm being facetious now. Or am I? Alright. We got roughly a 50% chance of a deal with the devil this time. What would I love to see? Well, 3 guppy items. We tried. Apart from that, I mean, sure, Incubus is great. I mean, I guess I would also like better range. I know we took number 1, so it's like, you know, I recognize why we have lower range. But simultaneously, it would help out. I don't know, maybe we don't even need it. I don't know. Maybe just like Mom's Eye, Mom's Contact, sorry, just to freeze enemies in place so they're not bouncing around so much. No, you know what would actually be the best? I'm being dumb. Some HP would definitely be for the best. We've already had Abaddon, but if we could get like, I don't know, even like Empty Vessel for invincibility plus HP. I think it's the only thing that could really squander us right now. I'm like erroneously thinking it's 9 lives would also be great, but I'm erroneously thinking it's a damage problem when the only real problem we have on this run is our survivability. Yeah, we should be fine. Anyway, I'm also stoked because, you know, I get to go on a 5-hour and then an 1.5-hour long flight this week, ×2, because I'm coming home, ideally. Which means your boy gets to watch 3 or 4 or maybe even more recently released movies I haven't seen before. I always like to play this game, you know? What was in theaters like 4 months ago? So 4 months. Oh, dude, it's gonna be Oscar season in-flight Oscar season. I could finally see why people are so opinionated about the film Green Book. Maybe I could watch Vice. What else is? Oh, dude, A Star Is Born. I totally forgot. I could watch A Star Is Born. Whenever possible, I prefer to not, you know, bawl mid-flight. I hear that A Star Is Born has that effect. I've only cried mid-flight a couple of times. You know, one was, and I've told this story on many occasions, but, you know, when I moved to Korea, you know, it was a sad day. I was like 21, I guess, and I was leaving my parents, you know, and moving to freaking Asia. Being first time ever living on my own. I mean, I lived away from my parents before that, but like, I mean, living alone, like not even living with my friends in a foreign continent, no less, for a year, you know, and you know, we're not gonna see each other for a year. It's not like they're just gonna pop by like, hey, son, we brought you some soup. Anyway, so you know, it's a melancholy day, and got on the airplane, 13-hour flight. He was like, you know what? I'll take my mind off it by watching Pixar's newest movie, Toy Story 3. Big mistake, dude. Should have watched Prince of Persia first. And then turned it off. And then watched half of the A-Team and then turned that off. That was a great fight, honestly. And then the other time was like I don't know, 7 or 8 months ago. I watched The Shape of Water. And I was like, dude, if you're not crying at the end of that movie, you ain't got a soul.
But how does I don't understand the kinematics of the apartment building. How is it able to sustain such a high tonnage of water in the...
Dude, it's a fairy tale. You ever ask yourself about the old Mother Hubbard? Lady lived in a freaking shoe.
That really stretches the bounds of realism,
Aesop. Y'all don't deserve Guillermo del Toro, okay? Where was I going with this? I don't remember. What won Best Picture? Oh, Green Book won Best Picture. That's right. I forgot because it was like a whole... It was a thing. I'm trying to think if there's been any... Well, you know, I don't need to get into it. I was like, I wonder what special effects driven movies came out in November. Dude, it just, you know, doesn't matter. I'll keep you posted on the situation once I actually board the airplane. I will say, our flight did get rescheduled because we were scheduled to fly on a Boeing 737-800 MAX. So I'm stoked. I don't know, I've probably flown on one, just given the frequency of my flying recently. It's not a ton, but, you know, I've probably flown on one without realizing it. But, you know, you'd rather not do so after you know that there's a known issue, you know? Like, I've flown on the 787, I don't know, probably maybe 10 times. I don't know why I'm so worried about being exactly correct, but like, you know, and though they used to have an electrical issue where, you know, they got grounded for a little while because their mom was really cheesed off about how they kept, like, lighting themselves on fire in the... By the way, I just noticed we have a Cambian Conception Incubus, which is a great draw for us, but anyway. And I didn't even bat an eye. You know, I was like, hey, you know, this is the airplane on planet Earth right now is under the most scrutiny. And if the FAA is like, you can fly it again, I'd trust them full stop. And let me tell you, if you're an aviation nerd, that's a nice airplane to fly in my opinion, at least. Or like, maybe not a nerd, because I don't know if I'd go that far. I can't talk up my own interest to that level, but if you're enamored by airplanes, let's put it that way. Dude, give me Book of Revelations. We win. Fantastic. But I'd rather not fly on the 737-800 MAX, you know? I mean, mostly because it's been grounded, so like if we're flying on it, it's some kind of like vigilante airline. But secondarily, you know, I don't get flight anxious, but that's because of all the systems in check that are designed to keep a bad airplane from going up into the sky, you know? It's like, you know, rationally, you know it's a freak accident, it could happen to anybody. But when you board your airplane, it says in conjunction with Malaysian Airlines, right around MH370 disappearing, you go, oh, all right. Depending on your latent, low-lying levels of anxiety, you might be like, that sucks. Or you might be like, that's a surprise. That's all I'm saying. Today's day and age, you know, even if the plane goes down, you know, as long as it's got a view screen, so I got something to watch as we go into like a zero-G dive and the oxygen, you know, the cabin's depressurized, etc., etc. As long as I can finish watching my episode of Just for Laughs gags, hey, it's not ideal, but it's a living. It's a weird joke. But that's kind of my thing, I guess. Now, by the way, you might be like, NL, don't joke about that. Wouldn't it be weird at this point if your plane actually crashed? First off, I'm not worried about it being weird. This is very selfish of you guys, to be honest, because I'd be freaking dead. But secondarily, at this point, I've made so many jokes about flying in proximity to taking a flight. It's not even like, wouldn't that be a bizarre coincidence? No. Like, if they ever made like an Unsolved Mysteries episode about it, like, this streamer joked about something happening and then it happened, I hope that y'all would be in the comments going, hey, he joked about this literally like hundreds of times. So for it to happen is, I mean, still not likely, but simultaneously, it wasn't like a freak accident that is a once-in-a-lifetime, you know, water flowing underground situation, you know what I mean? Same as it ever was and all that. Okay, what do we ask? Just let me do, like, okay, fine. Just teleport me to, I don't even know where. I would like to find the boss, please. You don't even have to remove the curse from the game. Just remove this curse from the rotation that the final floor can have, okay? That's all I ask. It's such a, I mean, it's a minor thing, but would it improve would it spark joy in a Marie Kondo fashion? Absolutely. I mean, it would probably make me 300% happier right now. I might be a little biased because I'm like in the mix, but just to be able to know, not even where we're going, but where we've been. Like, I don't care to, it's not because I want to algorithmically, cartographically solve the final floor. It's just because I want to not waste 10 minutes walking back into rooms I've already been to. Anyway, it's a very minor complaint, don't get me wrong. I recognize, I don't think I'm being unreasonable, but I do think I'm being petty. Two markedly different, but fairly similar emotions. No. Or you could just guarantee an Emperor card on every single chest, first floor, or first room, I should say. I'll accept either one of these. Both probably a fundamental compromise of your game design philosophy. See, like, if you ever want to know the perfect metaphor or analogy to explain a logarithmic scale, my anger rises exponentially, sorry, in comparison to the number of dead ends I find. My anger is at a 2 out of infinity. The first dead end I find on the last floor with Curse of the Lost. Following this, it hits a 4, and then an 8, and then it's like, you know, one of those things you learn as a math puzzle in like 5th grade where they're like, well, would you rather have $1,000 right now or $1 a day, but it doubles every day for a month? And then you're like, dude, $1,000? That's like more money that's ever existed on planet Earth. I'll take the grands. And then it turns out if you take the doubling, you know, it's like a, you know, 2 to the power of 29 or something like that. It's a pretty high number. I mean, it's an extremely high number. Anyway. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. It helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. See ya!